and flourish well. And Abraha resentfully did widen jealous eyes and wave his hand to Sana'a in the south, where he devised to thence erect a glorious cathedral to divert the pilgrims from the house of Ibrahim into his church. But works of human vanity can never quench the urge, deep-rooted in the hearts of men, to travel forth in search of that most blessed valley where their eldest father stood and called on his Creator for the first time on the earth. And so, confounded, Abraha, to quench his rival thirst, led out his men to desecrate the Kaaba that he cursed. So northward marched his army, desolation in their hearts, and devastation's wetting flame ignited on their blades, until, on drawing nigh to Mecca's valley, they did halt, and called upon the chieftain of Quraysh to then walk forth. So standing tall, his bearing strong, came Abdul Muttalib, and Abraha, impressed, descended his great throne to greet this noble man of noble stance, to whom he'd favor grant, if such was asked, and asked it was by this imposing chief. "Return to me the 100 camels stolen from my hand," said he, but Abraha was disenchanted by his words. "Why do you seek this temporal, irreverent request, when axes overloom your faith?" But Sheba did reply, "I am lord of this camel flock. The Kaaba has its lord. As I protect what's mine, he will defend his from your horde." Said Abraha, "Your lord cannot defend his house from me." But Sheba said, "My camels, Abraha, we soon shall see." The Meccans fled to refuge in the hills beyond the town, but those remaining found their solace at the Kaaba's ground. With Abdul Muttalib they grasped the house's metal door. "We slaves protect our houses, now protect your house, O Lord." The regent Abraha awaited haughtily the end of Mecca's fame and looked upon his elephant in pride. The mighty beast, majestic, richly decked, Mahmud his name, was unconstrained, grandly turned to ruin and defame. Alas for them, when Mahmud saw the Kaaba eminent ahead, he did not march, he would not charge, nor strike, but dropped his garnished head. The regent's army were outraged as Mahmud thwarted their rampage. They beat and struck, but naught achieved, and failed when they sought to deceive. The beast held fast against this horde, defying taunts and hooks and swords. And when they did command him yield, Mahmud before the Kaaba kneeled. In truth, this mighty elephant perceived the holy house, as whence the holder of the highest rank would soon arrive. What shaft could pierce like the ore for him, the piercing star? Was he not deeply humbled, in prostration falling far? If further portent was desired, lo, the darkened skies. The army held the land's domain, but God Almighty sent a bane. The hosts of heaven, stalwart birds, arose upon them undeterred by arrow mere, sword or spear, pelting stones with force severe. The army fled, and Abraha did perish as he ran, and all were wasted, save for who spread the truth to their own lands. Yea, Abraha, so proud, was by his armored beast betrayed. Heed this, did he not cause their plan to fall to disarray? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول صدق الله العظيم. How perfectly Allah Most High preserved the Kaaba's form. How soon the nigh reviver would the Kaaba's heart transform. Observe how all did fall except for him who did submit, Mahmud, and evermore 'twas named Year of the Elephant. Count 40 days, for 40 passed, until the worlds did cry in joy and gladness, as arrived the gift of God Most High. O Lord Most High, do sanctify the one prophetic angelic seal, and with your grace perfume the place his blessed form conceals. And as he whose sandal made them pure. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa ala alihi. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi. Come inside, guys. Alhamdulillah, we don't have any munshids today. What we do have, however, is some of the children who have come from your own ranks, some of the children that over the last year or so have been practicing with us, some boys and girls who have been singing, practicing their singing, practicing some of these songs, and we're going to sing some qasidah, so they are going to sing for you. This is their very, very first time they are singing in front of an audience, so please be supportive and sing along with them. We're going to do two qasidahs. The first of them, you guys have to join in with us, the qasidah Muhammadiyah. Ehsan or Shazad, can we get the qasidah Muhammadiyah up on the screen, please? Jazakallah khair. Now, qasidah Muhammadiyah is another qasidah written by Imam Busiri. So we're going to start with the Muhammadiyah, guys, okay? The qasidah Muhammadiyah, another qasidah that was written by Imam Busiri. What did I tell you about the qasidah Burda a couple of nights ago? What did I tell you about the structure of the qasidah Burda? Every line ends with Every line ends with a meme. It's called a meme qafiyah in Arabic, okay? It's a meme end. That's the rhyme. The rhyme is a meme. In the qasidah Muhammadiyah, there's a different, it does that as well. But in the qasidah Muhammadiyah, every line of the Muhammadiyah begins with the word Muhammad. Hence the qasidah Muhammadiyah. It's a short qasidah, although my particular theory on this is that it's not completely preserved. I have a feeling that Imam Busiri wrote this qasidah. It's just a thought, I don't have any evidence, but I think that he wrote the qasidah where each line begins with a different letter of the alphabet. So Muhammadun Ashraful A'rabi, Muhammadun Basitul Ma'rufi, and Muhammad Taj, so Alif, Ba, Ta. And I think that my own personal theory is that half of this qasidah is not preserved. That the second half of it is not preserved. But Allah knows best. But this is the Muhammadiyah. Now the way we're going to sing this, you will all be able to join in with this. We're going to do it like this. We're going to, you guys are just going, I'm going to sing on top of you guys, and you guys and the choir as well are going to sing Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sallallahu. Don't worry about them for now. You sing. Sallallahu. And then I'm going to go on top. You're the sea. Keep going. You're the sea. And I'm the ship. Muhammadun ashraful Arabi wal ajami. Right? Keep going. Muhammadun khayru man yamshi ala qadami, sallallahu ala Muhammad. Got it? Everyone got it? Everyone happy? Choir, you going to sing along? Muhammad sallallahu. Get the tune. Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Going. Don't, because they're singing doesn't mean you don't sing. While you're at it, with your clickers, you can add this to your total. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Good. Bismillah. Muhammadun ashraful Arabi wal ajami, sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi. Muhammadun khayru man yamshi ala qadami, sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi. Muhammadun basitul marufi jami'uhu. محمد صاحب الإحسان والكرم رسل الله قاطبة صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه محمد ثابت الميثاق والحافظ صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه محمد صاحب الميثاق حافظه محمد طيب الأخلاق والشيم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد رويت بالنور طينته صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد لم يزل نورا من القدم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه محمد حكيم بالعدل ذو شرف محمد معدن الإنعام والحكم صلى الله عليه صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه محمد خير خلق الله من مضار صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد خير رسل الله كلهم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد دينه حق ندين به صلى الله عليه محمد مجملا حقا على العالمين صلى الله عليه محمد ذكره روح لأنفسنا صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه محمد شكره فرض على الأمم صلى الله على محمد محمد زينة الدنيا وبهجتها صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد كاشف الغمة والظلم صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد سيد طابت مناقبه صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد صاغه الرحمن بالنعم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد صفوة البري وخيرته صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد طاهر من سائر التهم صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد ضاحك للضيف مكرمه صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد جاره والله لم يضم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد طابت الدنيا ببعثته صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد جاء بالآيات والحكم صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد يوم بعث الناس شفيعنا صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد نوره الهادي من الظلام صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد قائم لله ذو همم صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد خاتم للرسل كلهم صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد 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 صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله. Well done, guys. Very well. Very good, mashallah. Did well there. And you too. Well done, mashallah. I could hear you. It was good. Okay, the next song we're going to sing is a song that some of you might know. It's called Inna fil Jannah. In the garden. And this is a song about the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that you will not taste the sweetness of faith until you love me for the sake of Allah, you love my family for my sake, and that you hate to return to your previous state, like you would hate to be cast into a fire. So these are the three things to taste the sweetness of faith. One of them is the love of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is what this song is about. So where are we going to do it, guys? Oh, Ustadha, how have you practiced this song? Oh, you want to stand up? Yeah, get them to stand up, that's fine. There we go. Oh, were you there all the time? Were you hiding there all the time? I wondered where that nice, I thought they were singing, but in the meantime it was you guys singing. Okay. Oh, I like everyone's wearing red. That's very nice. MashaAllah. Burgundy, burgundy. It's all red to men. It's just red. So, how have you guys practiced this? Are you going to follow me? Right, the way we're going to do this, okay, you all got the words? You all got the words? We're going to do the Arabic line, right, the Arabic verse, then we're going to do the English verse. Okay? So we're going to go, Inna fil jannati li'aliyin wa husaynin wa hasan la ilaha. Then we're going to go, in the garden flows a river wide and clear. Okay? That's how we're doing it, all right? So we're going Arabic, chorus, English, chorus, Arabic, chorus, English, like that, okay? All clear? If you get stuck, just look embarrassed. Okay? Good. Bismillah. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah, Muhammad Rasulullah, ya Mawlana. Again, la ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah, Muhammad Rasulullah, ya Mawlana. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah, Muhammad Rasulullah, ya Mawlana. Inna fil jannati nahran min laban. Inna fil jannati nahran min laban. li'aliyin wa husaynin wa hasan. li'aliyin wa husaynin wa hasan. La إلا الله 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 محمد رسول الله يا مولانا. In the garden flows a river white and clear. In the garden flows a river white and clear. For Hassan and for Hussein and for Ali. For Hassan and for Hussein and for Ali. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya Maulana. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya حب أهل البيت فرض عندنا. حب أهل البيت فرض عندنا. وبهذا الحب لا نخشى المهان. وبهذا الحب لا نخشى المهان. لا إله إلا الله 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 محمد رسول الله يا مولانا. Love for Ahmad's family is our way. Love for Ahmad's family is our way. For with this love shall we never go astray. For with this love shall we never go astray. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya Maulana. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya Maulana. كل من كان محبا لهم. كل من كان محبا لهم يدخل الجنة من غير حزن. يدخل الجنة من غير حزن. لا إله إلا الله
محمد رسول الله يا مولانا.
All who love them and revere them and believe. All who love them and revere them and believe shall be entered to the garden with no grief. Shall be entered to the garden with no grief. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah
يا مولانا.
La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya Maulana. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya Maulana. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah ya Maulana. MashaAllah. Well done, very well done. I think they need a round of applause. Give me a round of applause, please. I think they need a round of applause. MashaAllah, well done. Excellent, excellent. Choir were formed 2 years ago, and there are about 30 of them between the ages of 6 and 18. Alhamdulillah. And Noor is the choir director, the choir mistress, who has been training them. MashaAllah, did a very good job. Well done, guys. Well done, girls. Okay? Assalamu alaikum. Excellent. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. I became interested in Islam because of singing. Because of singing. When I grew up in this country, never particularly interested. Went to madrasa, did all the normal stuff. You know what I mean? Never really grabbed me. Went to South Africa, and we started attending these zikr gatherings. And in the zikr gatherings, we'd sing, and I like singing, so it was right. It was like this, singing's amazing. I didn't realize it was halal for us to sing. It was halal for us to sing and to like do this form of zikr, do this sort of zikr and that sort of stuff like this. And that's what really grabbed me and got me interested. And especially when you enjoy what you are doing, when you realize that your religion can be enjoyable, being a person of righteousness doesn't have to mean being boring, where you can do fun things. This is the type of thing that we need to inculcate into our youngsters, and to be honest, into ourselves as well. That's why I'm always telling you to smile. Stop being so serious all the time. I remember, I remember my sheikh said once, he said, that some people, they'll attend, some talk in the masjid, and they equate sternness and religiousness. So if you're religious, that means you have to be stern. Yeah? So he says, the thing where the husband comes into the house, in subhanallah, 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 how are you? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Yeah? This is not how we're supposed to be with our families. This is not how the Prophet ﷺ was with his family. Okay? Rasulullah ﷺ, when the Sahaba came to him and said, paraphrase, Ya Rasulullah, we want the way that we are when we're with you, we want to be like that all the time. It's like we see the hereafter in front of our faces. The Prophet ﷺ said, that's all wonderful and fantastic, but you know something, there's a time for this and there's a time for that. There's a time to be serious and there's a time to be jovial. There's a time to be with your Lord and there's a time to be with your family. And the advice that my sheikh gave to me, he said, my son, let me give you some advice. When you are at work, concentrate on work, because that is ibadah. When you are at home, concentrate on your family, because that is ibadah. When you are in the masjid, then you concentrate on Allah. Or when you're in worship, you concentrate on Allah, because that is ibadah. When you're in class, concentrate on the class, that is ibadah. And I was about 19, I was about 21, 22 when he told me that. And I kind of thought to myself, well, duh. I didn't say that, obviously. I said, Ji Hazrat. But I thought to myself, well, duh. Isn't that obvious? And then I went, and about a year, 2, 3 years later, the penny dropped. That when I was at work, I was thinking about home. When I was at home, I was thinking about class. When I was at class, I was thinking about work. And what I was definitely not doing ever at any point is thinking about God. That my body was here, but my mind was there. Yeah? Bring them together. We don't want to be disconnected. If you're disconnected, if your mind and your body are disconnected, then your mind is a ghost and your body is a zombie. Right? You don't want to be a zombie shuffling about your house. And you don't want to be a ghost floating about somewhere else. Come together, be a human. Be a human. Be body and soul together. Be in your moment. Be the best you can be in your moment, in the moment now, this moment. Don't worry about the next moment. Don't worry about the last moment. Worry about this moment. Worry about what you can do to fulfill your purpose in this moment. To fulfill, and your purpose becomes your destiny. Worry about what you can do to make your Lord happy with you in this moment. And it might not be what you think. It might be taking your children for a horseyback ride. Yeah, that may be better for you than reading another 100 tasbeehs of La ilaha illallah. Or if you want, take your children for a horsey ride and read the 100 tasbih of La ilaha illallah. Yeah? Be in the moment. This is how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. Anyway, at this point, I'm going to hand it over. We've been joined by, alhamdulillah, Sheikh Shamas has come to join us. I have to give him something to do now because he's sitting up here. Sheikh Nasir is sitting at the back there, but he had something to do yesterday, so I'm going to give him a break. But, okay, I've given you something to do on Tuesday, haven't I? Okay, that's fine. You sit there and look pretty then. That's good, mashallah. So,
That's what I come for.
that's what you come for. That's what we want you here for. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so I'm very happy to welcome Sheikh Amir. I hope you'll all give and it's not a Birmingham welcome, it's a Solihull welcome. We're in Solihull now. What's the difference between Birmingham and Solihull, he says. It's like me asking you what's the difference between Rangers and Celtic. They're both out there somewhere, right? So Sheikh Amir is a very good friend, mashallah, a very dear friend, someone that many of us here have learnt a lot from. He makes a lot of sacrifices. His family make a lot of sacrifices because he travels up and down the country, teaching the deen to people in various cities around the country. He's been doing that for the last 10 years. He also spends a lot of time counseling people, helping them, on a very personal level and so forth. And he's really is an asset to the British Muslim community. And I mean that without trying to big him up or anything, that's just the fact of it. So I'm going to hand over to him now, inshallah. And maybe hopefully you'll be able to understand his Glaswegian, and we'll benefit from his talk, inshallah.
No, it's fine. No, stay this. I'm comfortable.
I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to go to the kids now and read them a story.
Okay. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah to Dr. Asim for inviting me. He asks me every year, and it gets to a point where you get embarrassed of saying no. And I thought, actually I was missing the gathering as well, and alhamdulillah, I'm so happy I came. Sometimes when you're here and it happens every day or every year, you tend to take it for granted. You don't really understand the importance. When you go away from these things and you come back, then you feel the importance of them. And I was actually sitting here thinking, subhanallah, 100 years ago, whoever was sitting here could not have imagined that one day a different type of singing would be happening and somebody else would be mentioned. Subhanallah. So look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works in mysterious ways. Just before I start, something that Dr. Asim said at the end there made me think of a phrase. When he was talking about being in the moment, it's a very, very important lesson to try to implement. It's a very difficult one because we tend to worry a lot. We worry about the past, we worry about the future. And I'm sure he's been given that advice. I was also given that advice by one of my teachers who, similarly, I was maybe in my late 20s studying, and all the other students in my class were younger than me, and I was struggling a bit with memorization. As you get older, it's a bit more difficult. And the advice, he said to me was, forget the past, forget the future. Just you concentrate on what you have to get done this year. That's it. That's the most important thing. And when you do that, it makes life a lot easier because you just have to focus on what you have in front of you. And they have an expression, they say, a Sufi ibn waqtihi, that the Sufi is the son of his time, right? So the son of your time. In other words, you live in that moment, like he was saying. So I say this a lot to people. I say, look, yesterday's gone. No matter what you do, you cannot bring yesterday back. Doesn't matter how much money you have in the world, how much power you have, you cannot bring time back. So what you should think about is how much time has, or the fact that I'm here, that God has given me some time left on this earth. And obviously one thing we know with every year is that we're coming closer and closer to our final departure from this world. And so really it's about understanding that I've got a little bit of time left and I need to use this in a way which, when I meet my Lord, I mean, we just read Imam Busayri's Qasida. When did he live? How long ago did he live? How many times do you think in history that Qasida has been read? How many times do you think that Qasida will be read until the end of time? He had one life, he came, he did his job, he left. But he left his mark. And so this is going to obviously benefit him in the real life, which is in the next life. So we always got to think about it. In fact, tomorrow I'm doing a course, a funeral course, teaching people how to get ready for that final departure from this world. So inshallah, the topic Dr. Asim gave me was about the Prophet ﷺ and the differing circumstances we have in our life, and how do we relate that to the Prophet ﷺ, which can be quite a difficult thing, because I think often the seerah, we sometimes read the seerah and we read it as a story. We did it as events. We read that story about the elephant, you know, so you maybe in your mind you have a picture of an elephant, you have the Kaaba a long, long time ago, and the thing is, it's kind of disconnected to the here and now. It's disconnected to, you know, Saturday the 2nd of November 2019. And it's really about trying to reconnect the seerah to our times. I mean, one of the things that the job of the teacher or the scholar is to take a book like the Burda, written a long time ago, any other book, and try to make it relevant to our time. And one of the problems is that when we take books, classical books, and we do not relate it to our time, there's a disconnect. We don't know how to apply it. And the seerah is something similar. We did a course about a month ago, myself and Sheikh Radwan, and we did the seerah, and we called it the seerah reimagined. Not that we were bringing anything new, but what we tried to do was we tried to bring the seerah alive. In other words, let's reread the seerah and let's apply it to us so that everyone can connect. So I'm going to share with you some of the points that were going through my mind when I did that course, and also as I was thinking about it. So for example, if you think of the Prophet ﷺ as a child, we tend to read the seerah. He was born, his mother dies at 6, his grandfather dies at 8, he then goes to Abu Talib, and then, you know, we kind of, it's just like a couple of things, and then we get to, he became a prophet, and then this happened. So, when I was looking at that, I was thinking, well, hold on a second, let's just spend a bit more time in his childhood. Let's get to know the Prophet ﷺ as a child. Because all of us, we were children. All of us were teenagers, and we went through our 20s and 30s. How do I relate what happened to the Prophet ﷺ to me? So if you look at the Prophet ﷺ as a child, we know that his father passed away before he was even born. And we know his mother, Sayyidatuna Amina, also passed away when he was 6 years old. Now, we have in our community a growing, you could say, style of family, which maybe we didn't have in the past, which is single parents. I mean, statistically, I don't know what the UK is, but I know in Scotland, in the Muslim families, about 10% are lone parents. Okay, so single parents. And this is something, obviously, it's a growing phenomena. And it's a challenge for us in terms of how we deal with it as a community. How are we going to deal with this challenge? What are the issues, and how do we support single parents? Now, if you think about it, and I never thought about this before, but you know, his mother Amina was a single parent. She was a single parent, and she was only 26 when she passed away. So when the Prophet was born, she's about 20, very young woman. And at that time, for somebody of her status etc., she would have got remarried. Yet she dedicated her, and the Prophet didn't have any siblings. There was no other children, no sisters, no brothers. So if you think of it from that context, all of a sudden a single parent can relate to the mother of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is brought up by who? He's not brought up by his parents. I was doing a parenting course, not parenting course, but parenting talk, and I was talking about the importance of parents, but also the extended family, or your bigger kind of your sphere of friends and your extended family. Why? Because if you look at the Prophet ﷺ, who actually brings him up? It's not his mother. His mother passed away when he was 6. It's not his grandfather, passed away when he's 8. He's brought up by who? Abu Talib. So he lives with Abu Talib in his household. So he's brought up with cousins. He's brought up with uncles. He's brought up with aunts. We never think about this in the seerah. What was the role of, for example, the wife of Abu Talib, his aunt? Does anyone know her name? Fatima. Her name was Fatima, right? So he would have spent a lot of time with, from the age of 8 until going almost as an adult. Who's the main female figure in his life? It's Fatima, but we never hear about her. We never really talk about her. So then, all of a sudden, you're thinking, well, okay, the role of the extended family. The Prophet ﷺ also married who? Khadija. Khadija had been married before, and she had children from before. So all of a sudden, and I'd never thought of this before, but the Prophet ﷺ was also a stepfather. So you see all the different roles that are happening. As a child, growing up with a single mother, and then being brought up in an extended family. And as you know, in the extended family, Abu Talib was very poor, and so he started to help his uncle. He experienced poverty. He experienced what it was like to be poor. And then as a teenager, he's not really a teenager, he's 12 years old, but he's close to the age of being a teenager. He travels with his uncle. And you know the story with the monk, Buhaira, and what happens, and he's sent back. And so he looks after Sayyidina Ali, so he tries to take the burden off his uncle, and he tries to help him out. So this is taking responsibility. Like young teenagers, what do? We tell them to get a job, get a part-time job. Why? It will teach you responsibility. It will teach you how to be independent. So the Prophet ﷺ is helping out. He's looking after, animals and being a shepherd, and he's also taking responsibility for his younger cousin, right? So, and then there's lots of lessons we can take from that. For example, we know with lone parents, especially where it's like a single mother with like a son or a boy or a male, the importance of having a strong male figure in that boy's life. So, who is, obviously Sayyidina Ali's got his parents, but who's the strong male figure in his life is the Prophet ﷺ. You see? And then, so we can start taking like different meanings that we've never really thought about before. If we just pause and contemplate on what's actually happening in the seerah. And then when we see the event of what's called Hilf al-Fudul, so this event happens, and they gather in the house of Abdullah Juda'an, and they make a pact. The significance of this pact, so somebody from outside Mecca was dealt unjustly, and he calls the Meccans, and they basically make this pact. The significance of the pact is usually in the seerah that they say that the Prophet made the statement that I made a pact when I was young, and if I was called to another pact like it, I would also respond. So they tend to say that, look, this shows that you can be engaged in any good like project or whatever. It doesn't have to be necessarily Muslim. But if we really stop there and just again start thinking of what's actually happening, the Prophet ﷺ at this time is 20 years old. He's 20 years old, and Abu Bakr is 18. So both of them attend this event. So Abu Bakr is a teenager. So they're like young teenagers, or the person just come out from being a teenager, yet they are in part and parcel of the society they're living in. They're taking an interest in what's happening and what happens in their city. So all of a sudden, what is this? Civic involvement. It shows you the importance of being, and the thing is, remember the Prophet ﷺ did not like what was happening in Makkah. He always had a problem with the idol worshipping, etc. So there's things in his society which he didn't agree with. But he didn't say, right, okay, this society's got all this stuff going on, I'm just going to go and sit and sit back. No, he was getting involved. So where he could bring benefit, he would give his input. And he wasn't just a bystander in this pact. He's actively taking part. Right, so the Seerah's teaching us from the very beginning of it how we should behave in society. And then, as you know, when he gets married at 25, Khadija's a lot older, she's a widow. What does Khadija do? Khadija has heard of this man's impeccable character. So in other words, his character must have been so amazing that it stood out from everybody else. Because if it was just good character, I mean, the Arabs had good character, they had hospitality, they had generosity. There was a general kind of etiquettes they had. So if he was just like the rest, he wouldn't have stuck out. There must have been something impeccable about him that made him stand out from everyone else. And what does she do? She sends him to trade on her behalf. So this is the Prophet now working as a businessman, right? And how many of our community are involved in business? Have they ever looked upon the Prophet as a businessman? How did he conduct himself? How did he trade? The hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says that the honest tradesman will be with the prophets and the martyrs and the righteous in the hereafter. You know, so you can reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through your business. So if you're a businessman, think about how the Prophet ﷺ did trade. Go back and read those things again and see how was he conducting himself. And then what does she do? She obviously has asked her servant Maysara to keep an eye on him and to give some sort of feedback. So I was saying, you know, this is what's called, I've got a pre-marriage course, and I keep going on about doing your homework. I said, so what did Khadija do? She did her homework. She didn't just, you know, go, heard this guy's good, we'll go and propose on his behalf. No, I want to check him out. I want to check him, put him in different circumstances, see how he reacts, see how he behaves. Right? So it's almost as if we read the seerah, but we miss all these things out. It's just like reading, okay, she did this happened, she married him, etc., etc. And then the Prophet ﷺ goes through so many things. I mean, if you think of his life, he lost his father. He didn't see his father, right? He loses his mother at 6. That in itself brings its own trauma and difficulty. Then he loses his grandfather. Then he's living in poverty, and then he gets married. Once he gets married, he has children. All of the Prophet's children died in his lifetime, apart from Fatima Zahra. Right? Sometimes, you know, we hear of somebody who's their child has passed away. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone saying to them, the Prophet ﷺ happened to the Prophet ﷺ. You've got something in common with the Prophet ﷺ now. All of his male children, as we know, passed away in infancy. But his daughters, you think about it, you've got a family of 6 people. One person passed away, second person passed away, third person passed away. You've not got any brothers and sisters. Right? You don't have any brothers and sisters. You don't have siblings of your own. Your parents passed away in your infancy. Your grandfather passed away, right? His wife, his wife, she gives him all these children. All these children pass away in his lifetime, apart from Fatima Zahra, right? So how does he deal with that loss? We know his uncle Hamza passed away in Uhud. What happens to him? Think of all the companions he would have loved that passed away in his lifetime. So how does he deal with all these things? These are the things that we don't think about. And then we know of the rebuilding of the Kaaba, how he rebuilt. I mean, the other thing was, if you think of his boys passed away in his infancy, so who survived? The daughters. Living in a society where what was happening with daughters is very much anti-women in that sense. It was seen as what's ar? Huh? Like a shameful thing, right? Not something to be proud of. You wouldn't be proud. You wouldn't have daughters and be proud of them, right? But how did the Prophet treat his daughters? Right? How was he treating his daughters? So there's all of these kind of personal aspects of the Prophet. When we read the seerah, we tend to miss, and this is where we need to stop, pause, and think. And so with the rebuilding of the Kaaba, when, as you know, the story goes that he came in, he made the decision. They were all happy because it's al-Amin, the trustworthy one, who's going to make the decision, meaning that he already had credibility through his character. He was already a credible person, and they could see basically that he's got leadership qualities. He can make very quick decisions, and decisions in a way he can diffuse a situation. So if you look at all of these things, in management you have this, what do you call it? Conflict management. So I said what the Prophet did was conflict management. So we have now big fancy words for these things. We have courses, but if you look at the seerah, it's actually all happening there. Yeah. So next person who, if you work in that field and you think of conflict management, go and read the seerah and look at how, because if you think of the story of the rebuilding of the Kaaba, it wasn't just a little dispute, they were about to kill each other. And it had been going on for days. In other words, think about it. Again, see when you read this, it's been going on for days, right? So this meeting, they're about to kill each other. This means that there's a deadlock. Basically they were, what's the word? Yeah, deadlock, okay. So they were at deadlock, right? Basically, they could not resolve the situation. And it got built up until they were about to kill each other. The Prophet comes in, he's put in this really difficult situation. Think about it. He says the wrong thing, fight's going to break out. And he resolves it like that. And it's not something that he had experience of. It's never happened before. It's the first time it's ever happened. Yet, he has the ability to diffuse it. And the answer, they're all happy with it, right? So those on conflict management, mention that in your next workshop, right? And then if you think of the cave of Hira, we read, okay, Revelation, the Jibreel came down and the first revelation, Iqra, was given to Prophet, and then he comes down and he tells Khadija, wrap me up, right? It's, that's how we're reading it. But we don't realize that he was actually going to the cave of Hira for about 3 years before the revelation. So this is a regular thing, and he was going in Ramadan as well. So, we're now living in a time where what's being pushed, and Doc knows this because of his field, meditation. Mindfulness, it's all these great words, mindfulness, right? He was talking about being in the moment, mindfulness, reflection. You get these life coach gurus, that they say that, they give them their routine. I wake up at 5 a.m, and then I do 20 minutes of meditation, mindfulness, and then I drink oolong tea with a bit of turmeric in it. And you think, wait a minute, my grandmother used to tell me to eat haldi, right? So anyway, all of a sudden, if people are like, wow, that's how I sort my life out, right? And you're like, hold on a second, 5 o'clock, 20 minutes of meditation, that's just Fajr prayer. Right? Do you understand? So everything's being repackaged now, and people are like, wow, oh my God, this is it, this is what I needed. And you're just like, no, it's just what we're supposed to be doing anyway, it's a seerah, it's a sunnah. It's just repackaged in fancy words. I was talking to Doc about one of my students, Dr. Imran, and he was mentioning some person in the kind of psychology field, and he'd brought up a concept, and it was like very revolutionary. So he explained it to me. He goes, "What do you think that is?" I said, "That's just the nafs." He goes, "Exactly." He goes, "It's just something that we already know, and people are repackaging it, and it's like, wow, this is like discovery. People have discovered something new." Huh?
Innate behavioural inclination.
They like giving it fancy names, right? Everything's got fancy names. And then if you think of the da'wah in the, obviously it's very difficult in the first few years. The Prophet only has a small group of people, which also indicates to us that whenever you've got a project, you need people around you. I mean, it's not like he's the Prophet of Allah. We've just read he's the best of creation. No one's going to ever get to his level, etc., etc. But he doesn't do it himself. He does it with his companions. So that is also something for us. I remember once I was speaking to one of my teachers and he was saying, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing this. And he said, you must create a team of people around you. Because otherwise, basically you're going to get tired, you exhaust yourself, right? And if you look at what's happening is he's building a community of people around him. And then when he gets the order of giving the call, okay, go and call people, what does he do? How does he call people? Does he go around chapping people's doors? He goes on to the Mount of Safa, right? And he calls people. And what does he say? He goes, if I tell you if there's an army coming, would you believe me? They say, of course. Now, why does he choose Safa? Anyone ever thought, why was the Mount Safa chosen? Because this is a place where if there was anything important to be announced, this is where they would do it. So he chose the best possible medium he could get to get his word out. Right? And you know the story. So what we should take from that is, hold on, what the Prophet did was he used the best medium. What's the way I can get my message to as many people as possible? So what do we take from that? Look at the time we're living in, right? We're supposed to be people of da'wah, and then there's lots of discussions about, do we get involved with social media? Don't we get involved with social media and this and that and all the rest? The way I always look at it is, look, the Prophet ﷺ used the best form of communication medium in his time, right, to reach as many people as possible, because his purpose was to reach as many people as possible. And when people used to come for the pilgrimage, he used to go and meet them. So we should take from that is we need to use every platform as well. I mean, this is being streamed, right? Why is it being streamed? Because not everyone can make it here. Otherwise, what happens is this gathering, the benefit remains with the people that attended. But this way, people that don't attend, maybe it's not the same as physically attending, but they can still benefit, right? So, in terms of how we do da'wah, modern forms of communication, using them in a beneficial way with the right intention. So this is how we should bring the seerah alive. It's by pausing on the seerah. Don't just read things and just let it go. Contemplate, well, okay, how do I apply that to my life? How do I bring that and make it relevant to my time? And I mean, I can go on and on. I'm not going to go on and on. But there's so much that could be said. One obvious one is the way that the Muslims are treated in Mecca. Society was against them. Lots of lies were told about them. I mean, there's a lot of correlation between that and Islamophobia now, of what happens to us, how we feel. So again, something for us to think about. And then also the patience that the Prophet shows in the face of adversity. And we sometimes, we complain and we say life's difficult. Look at the Prophet, what was happening to them. Look at what was happening to the Sahaba. People were killed. No one's killing us, alhamdulillah. Yes, we have difficulties, absolutely. But haven't difficulties always existed? Did any of the prophets have an easy life? And then also, they were forced to migrate. The Prophet told a certain group to go to Abyssinia, Ethiopia. And then obviously they have to move to Medina. So they did whatever was necessary for the preservation of their deen. And sometimes you have to do what's necessary. You have to do the necessary. And there's a question that was asked a couple of weeks ago, Doc's gone now, but it's his actual field, was did the Prophet ever feel depressed? Right? Did he ever feel depression? And so my answer to that, I don't know what he would say, but my answer to that was, it depends what you mean by depression. If you look at the clinical definition of goodbye, right? So the question was, did the Prophet ever feel depressed? Right? So obviously depression is a big thing now, mental health is a big thing. And somebody from that background asked me that question. And I said, look, it depends on first of all, your definition. What do you mean by depression? But if you're saying the clinical kind of definition, or my definition that I was thinking of was, low energy, you don't want to get out of bed, etc., etc. If it's that kind of depression, I said it wasn't that type of depression. There was definitely sadness. There was definitely deep sadness when Abu Talib passes away, when Khadija radiallahu anha passes away. The Prophet feels deeply sad. If he lost all his children in his life, he would have felt deep sadness. We know what it feels like to lose somebody. To to lose his companion. So he felt sadness, and we know the year of sorrow, the year that Abu Talib passed away, Khadija passed away. But yet, even though he's going through that sadness, he still has enough energy to go to Ta'if. So it wasn't the type of sadness which basically floors you, that you're just lying in the bed and you can't get out of bed. So he was deeply saddened, but he still had enough energy to go to Ta'if. And the Umrah we did in Christmas, alhamdulillah, we added a trip to Ta'if. And I don't know if anyone's ever been to Ta'if, but basically it's about an hour or so in the coach. But it's all uphill. It's all uphill. And as we were going uphill, I was just thinking, the Prophet ﷺ did this with Zayd. He went all the way to Ta'if. And the thing is, we read the story, he went to the 3 leaders and they said such and such and they stoned him, and that's it. It went on for 10 days. So it's not like it happened like it was a 1 hour and then they stoned him and that's it. No, it went on for 10 days, which means for 10 days, what was he doing there? He was calling people. And think about it yourself, 10 days is a long time. If you've come, right, and the first day you get hostility, second day you get, how many days would it be before you think, something? I've done my bit. It's time to head back. Right? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. After a week, would you give it up after a week? He kept going 10 days. And then he gets stoned, and it's not like he gets stoned from here to there. Right? They say he ran for a mile or 2. That's a long distance if you're getting stoned for a mile or 2. And so we saw where the end of Ta'if was and where the actual garden was where he rested. And it's quite a fair distance. And then what happens when he sits down? What's the dua he makes? He never once complains about the people of Ta'if. We live in a culture where we moan a lot. We complain. Any opportunity, we will complain. It's raining. Oh, it's raining again. Oh, it's too hot. Either it's too hot, or it's too cold, or it's too this, or it's too that. Brexit. Oh my God, Brexit. Right? It's just like, it's like, we just complain. It's a British thing, right? We just complain all the time. Even in conversations about something about to complain, isn't it? I've got no money, I've got nothing, it's always like this. So, the Prophet, if you think of what's happened to him, he does not complain. In that dua, he does not complain about the people of Ta'if. Right? And then, when the servant comes, Adas, the Christian servant comes to give him some grapes, he doesn't complain to him either. He didn't say, your people have done this to me and this, and I came to do this. He doesn't. He just talks to him. And again, he says in a hadith that the lowest point in his life, the saddest day was the day of, he said the day worse than Uhud was the day of Ta'if. So this is like the low point. If you've hit rock bottom, how you'd feel. But he doesn't complain. What does he do? Adas, he just starts talking to him, and before you know it, Adas becomes Muslim. So it never stopped him from his purpose, which was to give da'wah. And so I can go on and on, but the point is that yes, he felt sadness, deep sadness, but it's not what we would call depressed. Right? He still understood his purpose in life, his function in life, and he got on with it. And he knew that it was God's decree, and he went through all sorts of other difficulties. And then we know, in terms of in Medina, what happens. I mean, I think what we have to do is try to see the Prophet ﷺ from different lenses. The fact that he grew up in a single parent home, he was a stepfather, he was an adoptive parent. I did an event on adoption and fostering. First thing I said was the Prophet ﷺ was an adoptive parent. He adopted Zayd bin Haritha, right? He was a father of daughters in a society where that was not something to be proud of. He was very proud of it. He didn't hide the fact. He was obviously a husband, a very good husband. I think every wife, says you're not like the Prophet, and the response will be you're not like Khadija. So it goes both ways, doesn't it? He was a businessman. He was a merchant. He was a political leader. He was a military leader. He was a companion. He was a teacher. He dealt with other people's faiths and cultures in Medina. How he deals with the Jews and the Christians. He built projects, he led projects, communities, and he led by example. I mean, there's so many aspects of his life that we can take rather than just reading it as a story. But whatever capacity you're in your life, try to relate it to some aspect of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's what I hoped you guys would maybe take away some of that, so that maybe next time you read the seerah, you don't just read it or a story of somebody who lived 1400 years ago and it's kind of detached from ourselves. I remember, I think it was Habib Ali, he was talking about, people that studied in Tarim. And alhamdulillah, I had a chance to spend some time there. And he basically had made an observation. He said that some of the brothers have come back from Tarim and they've brought back Tarim with them. Right? Meaning that like they've transported Tarim into the UK. That you go into this gathering and he goes, you'd think you're in Yemen. And he goes, we don't want you to transport Tarim. We don't want you to bring Tarim back. We want you to bring the essence of Tarim back. In other words, what was the essence you understood and learnt? Bring that back and make it applicable to your context. Don't take the thing which is meant for that culture and bring it, plonk it there. Right? You have to take the meaning of it, the essence of it, and apply it to your context. And this is what we need to do with the Prophet ﷺ. We need to understand his essence, understand what he was doing, and make that relevant to our context in our time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and make that easy for us. It's not an easy thing to do, but inshallah, hopefully if we can collectively do that, we can make the Prophet ﷺ relevant for our time and also for the next few coming generations, to make it a relevant role model for them as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and blessings. Allah sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasneem kathir. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Inshallah. Barakallahu feekum to say Sheikh Amir. Thank you. Barakallahu feekum, Sheikh Amir, for that. Very much needed. Very much needed talk. And as you'll be aware, it's something. Those of you who've come before, you'll be aware this is something that we have discussed. We have discussed previously in previous winter springs. Exactly this question of how to make the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam relevant to our lives, and how to make the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam relevant in our own lives, in our own times. And you mentioned what Habib Ali had said to you about not taking Tarim back to the UK. My Shaykh also said to me, he said, da'wah is not about teaching Africans to eat biryani. Yeah? You're not trying to transplant a... Huh? We have managed to do that. As the Shaykh says, we have managed to do that. I see these clips sometimes of these look like Nigerian brothers singing naats, and with the full accent and the full taraz. It's like they're Nigeria via Lahore, it's that sort of thing. And you just think, firstly you think, wow, I mean, that's some amazing mimicry, actually, to be able to do that and to get the feel, of different cultures, songs like that. That's pretty amazing. They should be on Nigeria's Got Talent or something, I don't know. But at the same time, I remember going to South Africa, and we went to visit an orphanage, and there were a group of young African children there, Muslims, and they said that they were going to put on a bit of a show for us, and they sang, I think it was Mustafa Jani Rahmat. And I said, that's lovely, it's very nice and stuff, but where are your songs in Zulu? I want to hear a Zulu song about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they looked at me with this, and these weren't young kids, they were 15, 16 years old, just blank expressions on their faces, and like, what do you mean? And I said, don't you have songs in Zulu about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It was like this revelation that, what do you mean you're allowed to write songs in Zulu about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes, that's your language, that's your culture. The Prophet ﷺ was just as much a prophet to you and to the Zulu culture as he was a prophet to the Indian subcontinent culture, as he was a prophet to the Far Eastern cultures, and so forth. And you've got to see yourselves in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because look, the majority of people sitting out here come from the Indo-Pak subcontinent. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, contrary to what, there are actually people I have met who believe this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not Kashmiri. Right? But there were elements of the character, the circumstances, the struggles, the wisdom, and the beauty of the Prophet ﷺ that reflect and resonate with Kashmiri culture, and with Arab culture, and with Swahili culture, and with Zulu culture, and with British culture, even British Mirpuri, Midlands culture. All right? It's about finding that. When I was sitting with my sheikh, listening to naats that I do not understand, and up to now I don't understand, because I promised my sheikh I would learn Urdu, and I still haven't. So I have to learn Urdu before my life ends. So please make dua, Allah gives me the tawfiq. I promised him I'd learn Urdu, I haven't yet. Right? I did not understand those naats then, and I only understand them slightly better now. And I said to him, Hazrat, but my sheikh used to sit next to me. He used to make me come and sit next to him while he was listening to these things. And then he would whisper to me. As the line is being read by the poet, he would whisper the meaning to me in English. And it was a revelation. And I know these are nice tunes, but what they're actually about. And I said, Hazrat, these things are so beautiful. Why isn't there stuff like this in English? And his response to me was, if you want stuff like this in English, go and write it. And so that's what I did. And you need this. You need, like the soliloquy, for example. It's not a translation of an Arabic poem. It's an English poem. It has the meters of the English language. That's why we can kind of connect to it in that way, because we know how English is meant to sound, and we know how it's not meant to sound. And when you try and shove it into a meter that's not meant for English, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. And and what we're doing is the same thing, that we're trying to shove an Islam into our lives in some way, but it doesn't seem to fit. And it's a bit like wearing an itchy like an itchy shirt. It fits, but you're scratching away the whole time. It's not comfortable. Islam needs to be for us like a second skin. It needs to be comfortable for us. And yes, of course, it needs to challenge us to be better. Ethically, we should always be challenged to be better. But culturally, it should fit us like a glove. It should be a garment for us. It should be a second skin. Our religion should be comfortable for us. The Prophet ﷺ lived in his community. And he had the rhythms of his community in Mecca. When he went to Medina, there are different rhythms in Medina than there are in Mecca. Mecca and Medina culturally were quite different from each other. Sheikh Ahmed kind of touched on this, but they were quite different from each other when you actually look at it. When Sayyidina Umar is coming to the Prophet and complaining that these Medinan women are ruining our women, that we've brought our women to Medina and they're taking on these northern ways, the ways of the women of Medina, our Meccan women. And the response of the Prophet ﷺ effectively was, "O Umar, when in Rome, do as the Romans do." Yeah? That the culture is different, and there isn't a problem with this culture, like there isn't a problem with that culture. Right? But there is an Islam that fits it. Islam is not one size fits all. No one is asking you, and no one should be asking you, to transplant the cultural mores of 7th century Arabia into Birmingham or Solihull in the 21st century. Look, well, I keep on joking about Auntie Doris, right, and where we park and that kind of stuff. The adab of parking in Solihull is different to the adab of parking in Small Heath. Now we joke, you're laughing, we joke about it, but there is a point here. There is a point here. That the more it's what is ma'ruf, what is considered to be acceptable in one place and in another place are different. Now there's no Quranic verse on how to park. There's no hadith on how to park your camel. You know what I mean, right? But there is guidance. And the guidance is about being considerate. And what being considerate means, being considerate to your neighbors, not harming your neighbors. And what that means in one place and what that means in another place is different. I was joking with somebody that, we had to stop at a certain time because we don't want to wake up Auntie Doris. It's getting late and we were whacking out the Asma' Nabi at the top of our lungs. Yeah? And I joked and I said, well, if we were in Small Heath, people would kind of, phone up to complain and say, well, why aren't you reading it louder? Why are you so soft? Why did you stop so quickly? It's only 10 at night. Because what's considered being considerate in one place, in another place is different. In one time and another time is different. What does Islam do? What does the Sunnah of the Prophet do? It takes the best of each culture and elevates it. The Prophet ﷺ took the best of Meccan culture and elevated it. And Meccan culture was polytheistic. Meccan culture was tribalistic. It was deeply oppressive. The rich preyed on the poor. The Hilf al-Fudul that the Shaykh mentioned was the first attempt in Meccan society to think about fairness outside of family. Because how did the society work? I have to be good to my family, I have to be good to my clan, everyone else can go and fly a kite. That's the basic principle. I got a phone call today, just today, from this chap who said, how do I deal with feeling proud because of my heritage? I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm a Rajput. And then he started talking to me about the fact that we have dark skin and we have straight hair, and that means that that we're very flexible, but we're also very stern. And he was giving me this whole kind of physiognomy, what it means about. And I kind of went, okay, all right, fair enough. But what is he worried about? He's worried about, am I genetically predisposed to feel superior to other people because of my caste? Do you know something? It's good that you ask that question, because it means you're thinking about being fair, and you're thinking about the types of things that might stop you being fair. Now, I don't understand that. I come from South Africa, man. Yeah? Forget South Africa. I'm from Manchester. I was born in London and raised in Manchester. Yeah? The only type of superiority I know is that Mancunians are better than Liverpudlians. That's the only thing I know. That Man United are better than Liverpool. That's the extent of my hamiyah. It's the extent of my tribalism. All right? I don't get where he's coming from. But it's important that he is thinking about that. And I said, you can be proud of your heritage. You can be proud of where you come from. You can be proud of who your family are. But don't let that make you think that you have some right over other people simply because of that. And don't let it make you treat other people differently. Don't become arrogant. Being proud and being arrogant are different. Having self-esteem and being arrogant are different from each other. And don't let it make you treat people differently on the basis of their caste or this or that. If you do that, now you are following the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. So what that means in every culture, the Shaykh and I were talking about the Ihya, so I teach the Ihya, and he was talking about, just wait till you get to the chapters. He was telling some of the students and saying, wait till you get to the chapters on eating. Because it's kind of like, it's like half a slice of dry bread and water. This is what Ghazali, but it's half a slice of dry bread and water if you are indulging yourself. Basically, it's that sort of thing. Yeah? And what the Shaykh mentioned very pertinently is, Ghazali was talking about his time, what was required in his time, in his circumstance, that may not be the same as what is required in our time and our circumstance. And what he said at the end there is, we're not asking you to teach teach Africans to eat biryani. We're not asking that you bring Tareem into Telford. What we're asking is that you bring the essence. Take the essence and the essence, each, if you like, each place and each time is like a different lamp with different oil. Okay? Islam is the light. Islam is the match that you strike and you light the wick. All right? It will give off light no matter what type of lantern you are, what type of oil you have. Islam will illuminate your inside and bring illumination to what is around you. And that is what the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is. And that is the sunnah we need to take forward. To Allah make it easy for all of us. Sorry, I've ended up giving that's a sharh on your sharh on your matan, sorry. On that note, the Asma'ul Nabi. Chala, let's read the Asma'ul Nabi. Allah make it easy for all of us, inshallah. Auntie Doris sleeps a bit early on Saturdays and Sundays, so it would be done by 9 o'clock. Bismillah. Where's my drummers? Where are my drummers? No. Someone can find my drummers. Yeah, okay, that's great. Jazakallah khair. Bismillah. So you've all had a good break. I hope you've read at least 1,500 salawat in the time that the Sheikh was talking, and then I barged in with my extra talk. Sorry, Sidi. Now, inshallah, the Asma'ul Nabi. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على من اسمه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على من له أشرف الأسماء سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا حميد صلى الله عليه سيدنا محمود صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أحيد صلى الله عليه سيدنا وحيد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا ماحي صلى الله عليه سيدنا حاشر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا عاقب سيدنا طه صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا ياسين صلى الله عليه سيدنا طاهر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مطهر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا طيب صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سيد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا نبي سيدنا رسول الرحمة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا قيم صلى الله عليه سيدنا جامع صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مقتفي صلى الله عليه سيدنا مقافي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا رسول الملاحم سيدنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا كامل صلى الله عليه سيدنا إكليل صلى الله عليه سيدنا مدثر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مزمل صلى الله عليه سيدنا عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا حبيب الله صلى الله عليه سيدنا صفي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا نجي الله سيدنا كليم الله سيدنا نجي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سيدنا خاتم الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا محيي سيدنا منجي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مذكر سيدنا ناصر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا منصور صلى الله عليه سيدنا نبي الرحمة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا نبي التوبة سيدنا حريص عليكم صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا معلوم صلى الله عليه سيدنا شهير صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا شاهد صلى الله عليه سيدنا شهيد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مشهود سيدنا بشير صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مبشر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا نذير صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا منذر صلى الله عليه سيدنا نور صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سراج صلى الله عليه سيدنا مصباح صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا هدى صلى الله عليه سيدنا مهدي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا منير
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا داعي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مدعو صلى الله عليه سيدنا مجيب صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مجاب
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا حفي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا عفو صلى الله عليه سيدنا ولي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا حق صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا قوي
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا أمين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مأمون صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا كريم
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا مكرم صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مكين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا متين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مبين صلى الله عليه سيدنا مؤمن صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا وصول
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا ذو قوة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا ذو حرمة
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا ذو مكانة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا ذو عز صلى الله عليه سيدنا ذو فضل صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مطاع صلى الله عليه سيدنا مطيع صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا قدم الصدق سيدنا رحمة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا بشرى
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا خوف صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا غيث صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا غياث
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا نعمة الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا هدية الله سيدنا أرض المثقى صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صراط الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صراط مستقيم سيدنا ذكر الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سيف الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا حزب الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا النجم الثاقب سيدنا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مجتبى صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا منتقى صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أميون صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مختار صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أجير جبار صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أبو القاسم صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أبو طاهر صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا أبو طيب سيدنا أبو إبراهيم صلى الله عليه سيدنا مشفع صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا شفيع صلى الله عليه سيدنا صالح صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مهيمن صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مصلح صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مهيمن صلى الله عليه سيدنا صادق صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مصدق صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صدق صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سيد المرسلين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا إمام المتقين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا قائد الغر المحجلين. Everyone ready? Quiet? Ready? Everyone ready to go? Everyone ready to go? Ready to go? Just sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ready to go? Ready to go? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Khalil Rahman. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Barrun. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Mubarrun. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. سيدنا وجيه صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا نصيح صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا نصيح صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا وكيل صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا متوكل صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا كفيل صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا شفيق صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مقيم السنة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مقدس صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا روح القدس صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا روح الحق صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا روح القسط صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا كافي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مكتفين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا بالغ صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مبلغ صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا شافي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا واصل صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سيدنا موصول صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سابقون صلى الله عليه
وسلم
سيدنا سائقون صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا هادي
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا مهدي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مقدم صلى الله عليه
وسلم
سيدنا عزيز صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا فاضل صلى الله عليه
وسلم
سيدنا مفضل
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا فاتح صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مفتاح
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا مفتاح الرحمة
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا مفتاح الجنة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا علم الإيمان
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا علم اليقين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا دليل الخيرات صلى الله عليه
وسلم
سيدنا موسع الحسنات صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مقيل العثرات
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صفوان الزلات صلى الله عليه
وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الشفاعة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب المقام
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب القلم صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مخصوص بالعز
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا مخصوص بالمجد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مخصوص بالشرف
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الوسيلة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب السيف
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الفضيلة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب الرسالة
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الحجة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب السلطان
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الرداء
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الدرجة الرفيعة صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب التاج
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب المغفر
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب اللواء صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب المعراج
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب القضيب صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب البراقة
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب الخاتم صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب العلامة
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا صاحب البرهان صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب البيان
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا فاصح اللسان صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا مطهر الجنان
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا رؤوف صلى الله عليه
عليه وسلم
سيدنا رحيم
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا أذن الخيرين صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا صاحب الإسلام
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا سيد الكونين
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا عين النعيم
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا عين الغور صلى الله عليه وسلم سيدنا سعد الله
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا سعد الخلق
صلى الله عليه وسلم
سيدنا خطيب الأمم صلى الله عليه وسلم، سيدنا علم الهدى صلى الله عليه وسلم، سيدنا كاشف الكرب صلى الله عليه وسلم، سيدنا رافع الرتب
صلى الله عليه وسلم،
سيدنا عز العرب صلى الله عليه وسلم، سيدنا صاحب الفرج صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. اللهم يا رب بجاه نبيك المصطفى ورسولك المرتضى طهر قلوبنا من كل وصف يباعدنا عن مشاهدتك ومحبتك، وأمتنا على السنة والجماعة والشوق إلى لقائك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد سيد المرسلين وإمام المتقين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين، وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وسلم. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على روح سيدنا محمد في الأرواح، وعلى جسده في الأجساد، وعلى قبره في القبور، وعلى موقفه في المواقف، وعلى مشهده في المشاهد، وعلى ذكره إذا ذكر، صلاة منا على نبينا. اللهم أبلغه منا السلام كما ذكر السلام، والسلام على النبي ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله، السلام عليك وعلى آلك الطيبين الطاهرين، السلام عليك وعلى أزواجك أمهات المؤمنين، السلام عليك وعلى أصحابك أجمعين، السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين، سلام على قبر يزار من البعد، سلام على الروضات وفيها محمد، سلام على من زار في ليل ربه فبلغه المرهوب في كل مقصد، سلام على من قال لرب من أنا فقال رسول الله أنت محمد، سلام على المدفون في أرض طيبة ومن خصه الرحمن بالفضل والمجد، نبي هبه الله بالحسن والبهاء، فطوبى لعبد زار قبر محمد، يا راكبا نحو المدينة قاصدا فبلغ سلامي للحبيب محمد في روضته الحسنى وبغيتي، وفيها شفاء قلبي وروحي وراحتي، بعدت عني وعز مزارها فتمثالها لدي أحسن صورة أنزه طرف العين في حسن روضها فيسلو بها لبي والسر ومهجتي فها أنا يا قطب العوالم كلها أقبلها شوقا لإشفاء علتي وصل على قطب الوجود محمد صلاة بها تمحو عنا كل زلة لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله اللهم يا رب بجاه نبيك ومصطفاك وحبيبك ومجتباك وأفضل من أجاب دعوة ولباك خلص أعمالنا ونق قلوبنا وعاملنا في الدارين برضاك ونجنا من الفتن كلها ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا أقل منها واغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولأشياخنا ولمن له الحق علينا ولجميع المسلمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. O Allah, for the sake of your chosen prophet, the messenger with whom you are well pleased, purify our hearts from every quality that distances us from your witnessing and from your love. Let us die on the way of the Prophet and his folks, yearning for the meeting with you, O one possessed of utmost majesty and utmost grace. And may God's peace, blessings, salutations, and increase ever be upon our Master Muhammad, seal of the prophets, leader of the messengers, his family, and all his companions. And may God's peace be upon all of the prophets. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Jazakallah khair to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. You will be dismissed as the last few nights, row by row, so please pay attention to